Welcome everyone, my name is Brendan Snyder. Thank you for joining me. This is Classic Album Review. It's a new series that I'm starting where I'm going to take a look back at classic albums and review them, in part tied to, generally speaking, new releases that are coming out. As you know from my channel, I typically am reviewing new albums, doing unboxings of those. But as I'm listening to those, I'm also pulling out the old catalog and listening to those albums and thought I would do some reviews. And in part, Alice Cooper just released his new album. You can see it in the background there, Detroit Stories. I'll leave a link in the description below for it. And that is why I want to take a look today at Alice Cooper's classic 1989 album, Trash. Now, before we go any further and dive into that, if you're new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please click the button. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things will help support my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And I'm going to ask you guys to do one more thing. If you really like this video or you have a friend or someone you think that would be interested in it, please share it. I'm trying to get the word out on my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And as I always say, if you subscribe, you'll be able to stay up to date on all that's going on in the world of music. Just like this, where we are going to talk today about Alice Cooper's classic 1989 album, Trash. So, you know, this one here, I think, put Alice Cooper back on top. It was his 11th studio album at the time, and it was 20 years since the original band Alice Cooper, the Alice Cooper Band itself, had released their debut in 1969, Pretty's for You. And so this one here is actually certified platinum, so it was the first time in a long time that he'd had a platinum album. He released 4 singles and music videos from the album, which featured Poison, and that was his first top 10 single since 1979, the song You and Me. So, you know, like so many albums before, Alice Cooper had reinvented himself on this one. And he typically does that on each new release, but this one here in particular, I think is really a credit and should be attributed to Desmond Child, his producer. Now, this is, you know, not unlike Bob Ezrin. You know, Bob Ezrin, I think, along with Alice Cooper and the band, he really helped the band itself find their sound on those early albums. Some classics in particular, Billion Dollar Babies that he worked on, and of course the first Alice Cooper solo, Welcome to My Nightmare. But you know, he had such an integral part with those that when Desmond Child came along and worked with Alice and co-wrote all but one of the songs on Trash, I think he really gave this album an identity. And Desmond Child was known for working with a lot of the late 80s rockers. You know, I refer to this period as the hair band era. I know a lot of people don't like that. They like the term glam metal or other terms out there. But Desmond Child was really a big part of that, and doing the production for this album, the co-writes for this album, I really think steered it in that direction and made it what it was. Now, the album also featured a lot of really cool guest musicians on it. In particular, Aerosmith. All but one of the members of Aerosmith appear on this album. We've got Steven Tyler, Joe Perry, Tom Hamilton, and Joey Kramer all appearing on this. And Steven Tyler in particular, his vocals and the way he does the background singing that he does on some of the classic Aerosmith songs appear here, and you immediately know it's Steven Tyler doing it, which is just great. Bon Jovi. 2 current members at the time of Bon Jovi and 1 future member. You got John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora both appearing on here. They also do a co-write of one of the songs on here that I'll mention in a minute. But Hugh McDonald plays bass on the album itself. And of course, he would go on to become a bass player in Bon Jovi too. So really 3 Bon Jovi members here. And then you got Kip Winger of Winger reappearing with Alice Cooper, because he was a member of Alice Cooper in the past, but he appears on here guesting. And what's interesting is 3 of the 4 members of Winger have played with Alice Cooper. Reb Beach has also played with him, and so has Paul Taylor. So kind of cool their connection. And then you've got Steve Lukather of Toto appearing on this album. So a lot of really cool guests that I also think helped define the sound on this. The album itself is 10 tracks. It's 40 minutes long. I think it's just the right amount of time. When these albums start to get into the 50, 55 plus, sometimes I think they get a little too long. And it's just a big, bombastic, over-the-top album, which I think was perfect for the time period in 1989. It's a really good mix of sleaze and melodic hard rock of the day. And I also think that it's just classic Alice sounding. Not a bad track on this album. Lots of sneering and lamenting about the world and everything, what he does. And there's some cool co-writes on here beyond just the Desmond Child part of this. House of Fire was co-written by Joan Jett. Bed of Nails not only was co-written by Desmond Child, but you've also got Diane Warren. So you've got two of the greatest 80s songwriters mixed onto one of these things. And then Hell is Living Without You is a co-write with John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora. So pretty cool there, and I guess that's also why they were appearing on the album itself. And the rest of the tracks that are on here, as I mentioned, Poison being a top 10 hit, but going right into Spark in the Dark, which is just a great rocker. I mean, the first three songs on here alone are just a bang, bang, punch on you. House of Fire, another really great one, but right into Why Trust You. Only My Heart Talking, number 5, was the ballad on the album, But this one here was a particularly good one, in my opinion. I mean, there's always one on these Alice albums, and sometimes, in my opinion, they harken back to Only Women Bleed or something that was a classic Alice ballad. This one here was a little more unique, in my opinion. I really, really like track 6 on here, Bed of Nails. And as I mentioned, Hell's Living Without You is a great track because of the co-write with John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora and guesting on it and so forth. So, I mean, it's just really, really strong album, in my opinion, start to finish. Not a bad track on here. And so one of my final thoughts on this thing here is that, Alice was already a classic artist, but this one here really cemented his place in the rock pantheon. I think if he had not had another platinum album, top 10 hit, all that sort of stuff, he would have been relegated as a classic rock 70s guy. But it showed him as the chameleon that he could be, that he could reinvent himself, stay relevant, all that sort of stuff. And this album here made him relevant again and kept him in the spotlight. Going on with future releases, Hey Stupid, which was also a platinum seller, and in 1994 with The Last Temptation, that was the epic years, these 3 albums. All really great stuff, and he's continued to do it, and I think he's done it again on his latest release, Detroit Stories. And again, remember, I'm going to put a link to the full review of that in the description below. But I think that this just, goes to show you that this album here, from what Alice did in the 70s and the kinds of artists and bands he influenced and what they were then doing by the 80s, that Alice could do it just as good. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this first classic album review here. I'm going to be doing more of these, so please check back. Also, leave your comments, hit like, and if you want to, let me know what other classic albums you'd love to hear me do. All right, everyone, take care, have a great day, and I'll talk to you all real soon. Bye, everyone.